McGregor Forever is a 4-part documentary series that came out on Netflix a few months back. The series combines edited footage of McGregor's fights with a behind-the-scenes look at his family life. It's meant to basically highlight his determination and vulnerability, and reveal a side of him that is often overshadowed by his loud public image. But there are many problems with the series, so let's get into it. You can't exactly say Netflix were striking while the iron was hot, making this series 4 years after his peak, and after 2 losses in a row. Really, what's the point of this documentary? Because he hasn't really achieved anything in MMA since his first documentary came out. My biggest problem is the timing of the series itself. McGregor Forever is sold as the story of his comebacks from numerous setbacks, and of his impending comeback from his broken leg. However, he obviously hasn't fought yet, so it's not exactly a redemption story. Would it not have made more sense for the series to include the Chandler fight and release it next year? I just ended up feeling like the timing of it being released was odd. It feels like they're trying to make it a comeback story, but he hasn't come back, so they just followed 4 fights, 3 of which were losses. So it felt pointless in that way. Almost like they said, well, we have all this footage and no good ending. Let's release it anyways. I did enjoy certain parts though. It's always cool to see behind the scenes footage. Getting to see what these athletes go through is interesting. It's a well-produced documentary even though it's clearly biased towards Conor. It's a fluff piece but really well made. The narrative around the Nurmagomedov fight was that the dark energy was from both sides when it really wasn't. Again, I understand it's a Conor fluff piece, so I don't expect it to be balanced journalism. I wish Conor was comfortable showing the good and the bad. He really wants to control the narrative, it was painfully obvious. I felt like there was too much staging, even during the community service part. It was pretty ridiculous. And then also the build-up for the Cowboy fight, they hyped up Cowboy, as if the fight was somehow going to be competitive. I was also surprised how brief it was in covering his road back from the leg break. I thought that would be the crux of the documentary, not the epilogue. I like the documentary, but I wish they had more one-on-one interviews with McGregor and less throwbacks to an old McGregor which are constant throughout. It was an okay documentary, entertaining enough. But it didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. There's nothing new. They seemed to skip over a lot. It barely touched on any of the controversies, and they didn't show the things that really happened between Conor and Nurmagomedov. It's all basically about his time in the UFC and nothing more. McGregor has said on more than one occasion that he had no creative control over how the documentary was edited and portrayed, so you can't really blame him. But yeah, that's what I thought anyway. Tell me what you thought of it below, and don't forget to subscribe.